Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the very first Football Roundup La Liga Transfer Live. Welcome along, everyone. I hope you are as excited as I am. We're going to go through the La Liga transfers for January 2022. Write in the comments as well. Who do you think is the best signing in January 2022? Was it Aubameyang? Was it Ferran Torres? Who is it? Write in the comments section. Love to hear what you have to say. Who do you think it is? So we're going to look at every single club in La Liga from the first team beginning with A, which will be Alaves, and then we'll be finishing off with Villarreal. So let's get started. Let's not waste any time at all in getting to the first club, which I said before is Alaves. So Alaves made a couple of additions to their squad. They made precisely 3 additions to their squad, and they do sit 19th in the league. So they do need some help to get them out of relegation trouble. They had only one player go out on loan. So Athletic Bilbao is where we'll go next. Of course, a club steeped in great Basque history. They don't buy any players outside of Basque country. I think that is phenomenal. That's such a great moral to have. Such a great philosophy to have is what I meant to say. So that's something that I massively respect. So of course, they had no incomings in the transfer window. And they did, however, have one outgoing, but not one of any major significance. So that's Athletic Bilbao. We need to get into the big teams. We're going to get into the big teams now. The teams near the top of the league, Atletico Madrid. Atletico Madrid had a mixed window as far as I'm concerned. They brought in some players. There's some decent players. Don't get me wrong. I think they brought in some decent players, but I don't think to the quality that I feel will take them to that La Liga title, which is already a bit of a stretch, I personally feel. So they brought in Daniel Vaz from Valencia, and they also brought in Reinildo Mandava from Lille, if that's how you pronounce his name. So they brought in a couple of players. They sold Kieran Trippier to Newcastle. Kieran Trippier wanted to move, so Atletico Madrid couldn't really do anything about that. So some interesting business from Atletico, and we'll just see, of course, how they do for the rest of the season. Right, so now is the part where I'm sure all of you have been waiting for, and that is about Barcelona. Now, Barcelona, as we all know, as I'm sure fans of Barcelona watching will know, that they've had their financial difficulties. Yes, they have. But they're still able to bring in players. And of course, that's exciting news. So they brought in 2 huge players during the window. Actually, I'd say 3 huge players, but 2 in particular. One of them being Ferran Torres, I think is a great signing for them. And I think he will partner up with Ansu Fati up front with Luke de Jong if he plays, of course. And I think that could be a fantastic partnership up front. And you have to add into the mix Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. I didn't see that coming. I didn't see that coming on deadline day. I think that's a great signing for Barcelona. If he hits his straps, if he hits form, I think Barcelona could really seriously contend for the title. Not this year, of course, let's be realistic, but he could take Barcelona back up to the top. He is a goal scorer. He's a natural goal scorer, and I see Aubameyang really making a difference at Barcelona. Great deal for them, and I also think it's a good deal for Arsenal, but check that out in the Premier League transfer roundup that will be coming out very, very soon. So, yeah, they had a couple going out, Felipe Coutinho being one of them. I did forget to mention one of the great additions that they also made, Adama Traore, coming back to Barcelona. an absolute speed machine. So again, I think this is a really smart signing, and they have an option to buy him at the end of the season, which again, I think is brilliant business from Barca. They don't have to make any commitments there. Adama Traore can be a bit hot and cold at times, but if he's hot, he is hot, and he's a sort of player that can really make a difference. And like I said, Barca let Felipe Coutinho go to Aston Villa. So that's Barcelona. Cadiz is where we go next. Cadiz at the wrong end of the table. It's a club that they came up from the Segunda Liga, and they were always going to find it difficult, weren't they? Really, and they made plenty of incomings. What do we have here? 1, 2, 3, 4 incomings for them. None that probably you'll know unless you're a big Cadiz fan. And they made also they sold some players as well on loan, and there's also a free in there as well. So have Cadiz done enough to stay in La Liga? Only time will tell, and we'll soon, of course, find out if that's the case. So moving then from Cadiz to Celta Vigo. Now Celta Vigo, well-established La Liga club, doing all right in La Liga, and they were fairly quiet during the transfer window. They made just one addition, a free transfer. So they were, like I said, quite quiet during the window, and they had 2 outgoings, 2 players leave. I don't think Celta are in any danger of going down, of being relegated, being dragged into a relegation dogfight. I don't think that'll happen. I reckon they'll stay whereabouts they are at the moment, so they'll be about mid-table. Elche. Let's look at Elche, because Elche are quite a fascinating club to me, because they made loads of signings, and they're also around mid-table. So they're the sort of club that I look at, and I think Elche could achieve quite a lot this season. Obviously not in terms of the league, but I really think that they could push up to somewhere maybe top half of the table, and I think that would be a great achievement for them. And the signings that they made, I think will show soon enough if they have made the right signings. And yeah, we will see how they do. So if we look at I'm just going to have a quick look actually at the standings of very much where they are. Elche in 15th place, but I think Elche will be fine, and I think they could even push a little bit higher. Made some good additions during the window. Espanol is where we'll go next. Espanol 13th in the league currently. Again, looking to push up the table, only made 1 signing during the transfer window. So again, I don't see them being dragged into any relegation battle, but they did bring in a player, and hopefully he'll help improve the squad. They did sell no player during the window. So of course, we will see. Again, like every single club, we will see how they get on for the rest of the season and how these new players settle in to their new clubs. So that's Espanol. Getafe, very interesting one. A team that's been flirting with relegation all season. They've been in, they've been out, and they've made some, in my opinion, they've made some fantastic signings. One of them being Borja Mayoral from Roma, former Real Madrid striker. I think this is a really clever signing from Getafe. And if he hits the back of the net, I can see Getafe comfortably staying up. They also made another signing from Roma as well, and a signing from Sevilla. So I think they did some really good business. They let some players go, of course, but I think they made some good business. I do see Getafe staying up this season. Like I said, if these players that they brought in do hit form. But of course, we will see very much how they fit into Getafe's system and where they finish at the end of the season. So, of course, that's Getafe. So we'll move on to our next team, Granada. Now, Granada are an interesting one, aren't they? Because if we look at Granada, they are the type of team that, again, are a bit inconsistent. They're mid-table, which is probably where Granada fans think that they should be. Fairly safe at the moment. Don't see them being dragged into a relegation battle. However, they're 6 points from safety. So you just never know. A couple of bad results go against them, and they could find themselves being dragged in. I don't see it personally. I think Granada have enough, but we'll see. So they made a couple of signings, 3 permanent signings for them. Alex Colado from Barcelona on loan. I think he'll be a decent addition to the Granada squad. I think he'll fit into the first 11, and they also let a player go out on loan. Like I said, though, I think Granada will be very much where they are at the moment. Don't see them moving too far up or too far down from their current position. Right, so that's Granada. Let's move to a club on the East Coast, Levante. Let's move to Levante. Levante have had a terrible season, let's face it. Terrible season, 21 matches, only 1 win the whole season, and that only came recently. So I think any additions for them, I think it will be extremely difficult for them to stay up this season. They're not too far away from safety, 7 points from safety. Well, actually, 9 points from safety. I stand corrected. 9 points from safety. I think it's a really tall order for them. They needed some players to come in. They didn't quite deliver it. They brought in Martin Cáceres from Calgary. So a decent defender, but they need firepower. They need firepower. They do concede far too many goals, Levante. They've conceded, I can't remember how many goals. I think 43 I have here. 43 goals this season, the most of any side in La Liga. And that tells you everything you need to know about their league position, bottom of the table. So it will be a really tall order for them to stay up. They did, like I said, though, bring in Martin Cáceres from Calgary, and maybe he'll make a difference to that squad. Pablo Martinez left on loan to go to Huesca. Right, Mallorca. Mallorca is our next port of call. So Mallorca are also hovering around the relegation zone. They are currently sitting in 17th place, 2 points away from safety. So they're also a side that will be looking over their shoulders because they're perilously close to the relegation zone. So they didn't make any big signings, so to speak, in the striking department on the midfield, but they did bring in Sergio Rico from PSG. A great signing for Mallorca. Not one that I expected, but they brought them in on loan until the rest of the season. Now, that could be the difference for Mallorca in the remaining matches that are left. So keep an eye out for that one. I think Sergio Rico could be a great signing for Mallorca. It could keep them in the league. We'll just have to see how well he performs and whether he can produce what we know he can produce. And Sergio Rico, of course, surplus to requirements at PSG with Donnarumma in goal. Not really many chances for him to play. Chances for him to shine. He has a chance to shine at Mallorca now. 4 outgoings for Mallorca. But yeah, I do think Sergio Rico signing will be interesting to see if Mallorca stay in the league. Osasuna is where we'll go next. Now, Osasuna, a club that have been inconsistent, but have had a pretty decent season to date. They didn't bring anyone in. They brought no one in. And you probably could say they didn't need to bring anyone in because they're quite stable. And I could agree with that. I don't think they're in any danger of being dragged into the relegation fight, and I don't think they'll get anywhere near the top, let's say top 6. I don't think they'll break into that. I think if they get anywhere in the top half, it'd be great for them. But they didn't make any signings during the window. They did let 2 players leave. And so, yeah, I think Osasuna is an interesting one. The best that they can hope for is to try and break into that top half. But no signings for Osasuna here. Rayo Vallecano. I have been so impressed with Rayo Vallecano this season, especially their home form. Excellent home form. If I'm not wrong, only 1 defeat at home all season for Rayo. And they made only 1 addition. Could be a bit of a surprise when you think about their position in the table, looking to kick on, potentially finishing a European place. That would be beyond any Rayo Vallecano fan's dream. It's not too far away. It really is not too far away when you think where they are in the table. They're 8th in the league, so it's definitely within grasp for them. So yeah, they brought in only 1 player. They let 3 leave. Mamadou Sylla from Alaves on loan for the rest of the season. I don't know how much of an impact he's going to have on the squad, but like I said, time will tell with that one. I think Rayo, like I said, have been excellent so far this season, and I expect nothing less for the remainder of this season. And right, yeah, let's move to Real Betis, because Real Betis are another club that have been exceptional this season. They rightly stand in 3rd position in the league, and they added Goncalvo Cardoso from West Ham United, a player I don't know too much about, but I know how strong Real Betis' squad is, and I think that it's a very realistic chance that they could keep 3rd position. Of course, they'll be trying to keep that away from the likes of Barcelona and Atletico Madrid, considering their strengthening in this January transfer window. Excuse me. So Real Betis did bring in a player. This is a player I said don't know too much about, but I reckon, I have a sneaky suspicion that he might just make an impact for the remainder of the season for Betis. 3rd position would signal an outstanding season for the Andalusian side. So let's see who we have next. So we have Real Madrid. Now, Real Madrid are one where you could look around and you think they have a squad full of stars, absolute superstars, quality wherever you look. So you think they don't need to make any signings, and you'd be absolutely right. They didn't make any signings whatsoever. No outgoings, no incomings for Real. I reckon they'll do a lot of business this summer. I see Kylian Mbappe being linked. Erling Haaland is going to be linked. There'll be players to leave Madrid this summer because, of course, these players are getting older, especially in the middle of the park with Modric, Casemiro, and Kroos just signed a contract extension. So, of course, we'll see with those players, but they're all getting a little bit older. So to get some fresh blood in there, I think Kylian Mbappe, Erling Haaland will be at the top of their list to sign this summer. But in terms of January, no signings for Real Madrid. They are 4 points clear at the top of La Liga and are favourites to retain the title, regain the title later this year. I think that they're in a strong position. Of course, they have, like I said, phenomenal players, and I think they'll have enough. I think they'll have more than enough to win La Liga this season. Real Sociedad is where we're going to go next. Had such a great start to the season. They were leading the way for a lot of the season, but over the last couple of months, their form dropped drastically, and they now find themselves in 6th position. Still a decent position for Real Sociedad, and they did make a couple of signs. They brought in Rafinha from PSG. I think that's a really smart piece of business from Real Sociedad, and hard to say if he's going to make a difference. But I think if they want to get European places, players like Rafinha, and they did make a signing, Jonathan Gomez, a player I don't know much about personally, from Louisville City, on a permanent signing. But I think Rafinha, could be a good signing for them. That's Real Sociedad. Sevilla. Sevilla is where we're going to go next. Second place in the league. Real Madrid's closest challengers is a team that is not quite at the title race, but I just don't see it. Just don't see it unless Real Madrid really do slip up. So let's look at their transfer activity. They brought in two players, and they let 3 leave. 2 of those players they brought in, one in particular, Anthony Martial from Manchester United on loan, a great piece of business. I can see Martial really excelling at Sevilla. I don't know if he'll make the difference in Sevilla winning the title. I think that will be extremely difficult, but Martial needs to get his career back on track because he's hardly played for Manchester United. And, well, I think since this season, since the beginning of this season, I can't think of Martial even playing a match for Manchester United. I might be wrong there, but he's the sort of player that needs game time, and he has quality. So if he gets fit and he gets service, I can see Martial being a huge hit for Sevilla. So I certainly do think that Sevilla have done good business there. Valencia brought in some players, some unknown players around Europe, including Brian Hill from Tottenham. Brian Hill not really set the Premier League alight, not really given a lot of chances in the Premier League. So it'll be interesting to see how he does at Valencia. A central midfielder that I think has a lot of potential. And I think given the playing time and given his quality, I reckon he'll shine in a Valencia shirt. He's, of course, on loan there until the end of the season. Valencia in a pretty good position in the league, and I reckon they'll be somewhere in the top half this season with the players that they brought in. I think they'll very much stay there. And there are some players, of course, that they did sell as well. Of course, Daniel Vaz to Atletico Madrid. And finally, Villarreal. No incomings for Villarreal. They had a very sticky beginning to the season, but then they picked up their form, started to pick up loads of points, went on a great run, and now they find themselves in the top half of the table in 7th position. And yeah, no signings for them. They did let a few players leave. So you could say not a bad window. They got some players off the books, but no players have come in. So no player to improve the squad that they already have. If I was to say the best signing, I want to know in the comment section, who do you think is the best signing in La Liga in 2022 January? I said I can't look any further than Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. I think it'll be a huge hit with the Barcelona fans. As long as he stays fit, he stays on side with the Barcelona fans and the Barcelona management, in Xavi, of course, in particular. I really do see him making a huge difference to Barcelona's fortunes in front of goal. And yeah, that's really interesting for me, because I think he could take Barcelona back up to contend for the top places in La Liga, back to where Real Madrid currently are, where Barcelona belong, really, don't they? With all their star power over the years and their star power now, it looks like they finally have a squad that could start to compete for the La Liga title again. So yeah, that would be my signing of the window. If I'm looking at the biggest hit of the window, yeah, I think Barcelona made the best signings. I think Cadiz did some good business. Espanol were a little bit on the quiet side. Getafe, really good business from Getafe, could keep them in the league. I'm confident the business will. Granada made also some good signings. Not much from Osasuna, but they're pretty good, pretty stable in the league. Not much from Rayo Vallecano, Betis, nothing from Real Madrid. Real Sociedad, not much again going on there. And Valencia made quite a few signings. So I'd say they have certainly got a hit with their signings and their transfer business in January. Thank you very much for joining me today. I do appreciate every single comment that comes here. This is a new upcoming channel. I like to summarize everything in football, in La Liga, in Serie A, in the Premier League. All the football we love in Europe comes from these three leagues in particular. And I love talking about La Liga, one of my favorite leagues. Hope you enjoyed Transfer Roundup. That just gives you an idea of where these clubs are, the transfer business that they've done. Will they exceed expectations for the remainder of the season? Will they drop lower? Who will get relegated? Who will win the league this season? Who will break into the Champions League? Who will finish in the European places? Only time will tell. But those players that I mentioned there, I think that they could have an impact on their respective teams. And like I said, I'm excited about where this last chapter of this season is going to take us. Don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel. Football Roundup is where it's at. You want to know all about football in the best leagues in Europe. This is the channel to get involved in. So don't hesitate, people. Look forward to seeing you soon for the Premier League Transfer Roundup in January 2022. See you very soon, people. Bye-bye. Bye.